So let me preface before going through this that a lot of this will be rooted in best practices we found over the years. A lot of this might be also subjective. It might be just based off of preference, leaning towards, I don't want to say emotion, but kind of that gut instinct that we've kind of gathered from being legal marketers for quite some time. It's just sometimes you don't really have exact data for every single little thing that's going on the website because there's just so much. But when in doubt, we do run some surveys. We will kind of get a sample group to give us feedback on what they think is good. We do A/B tests. Sometimes if you're doing new updates to a website or especially a landing page that's important for conversions, you'll do A/B testing where basically you show one version to 100 people, another version to another 100 people. And then as far as engagement and conversion, you're going to know which one probably works best. So this isn't kind of the end all be all. This isn't exactly a checklist because, like I said, this is a little bit more of the subjective part of an audit. It's more suggestive. It's not always rooted in data, but you'll see kind of what our thought process is. Maybe some of these things will resonate with you. So maybe some of the things that you have going on your website, you'll notice there might be a little bit of a comparison. You might want to take a look and maybe possibly make some adjustments based off the feedback we're giving this particular website. So the first thing that we saw on this website, some of the text is faint, difficult to read. Sometimes people like to use kind of a lighter gray on some parts of their website, might blend in too easily with the white. We noticed that there. In this particular situation, they had a verdicts and settlements slider. It didn't have any arrows, which might have been right around there. So people didn't know that you could kind of like drag it and move it through. Sometimes that situation, maybe it might be better to show dots at the end or the bottom right here to show like what frame they're in, and it can kind of move through it, or to use arrows is probably more of a solution there. But you can see that someone on my team said exactly that. We see here the current design and practice area section has every link listed. In this particular situation, accordion style might be a little bit better, meaning that instead of dropping everything down and pushing it down, you could always click and then use a little bit of a script to let it expand down instead of immediately taking up too much space. That might be important for consolidating some parts of your website that might have a lot of links. A free case review here opens up in a pop-up. And in this, we don't always like pop-ups. Sometimes it's not the best choice for design or user experience. In other cases, from a more technical standpoint, which I'm not sure if we state here, not this in particular, but some people's browsers actually have pop-up blockers. So if you have a free case review that works solely off of pop-ups, some people might click on it and then it'll never pop up. And it kind of defeats the purpose of it, and it might be frustrating, and it might make it, there's just more friction for the person on your website to contact you via form. Let's see what this one is. The video to the right allows a viewer to view the view screen. So in this one, you're always going to want consistency. You shouldn't have functionality for one or two things here, and then on the third thing, it works differently. So if you're clicking this and it opens up in a certain dimension, this should be the same dimension. This should be the same dimension. You want consistency with any part of design because it's just, again, a part of the user experience. It's a reflection of the fine details that you've laid out on your website. CTAs, call to actions, that's another example of being consistent. There's some of the major pages right here. This is definitely one thing that you can look at your website too, is that sometimes if you've had multiple people writing for your website and you sometimes use a call to action, sometimes use an anecdote. It's another form of consistency. You'd be surprised that some of your major practice area pages might just kind of wrap up without any sort of what's next or how can I contact you. Like right here, you can kind of see it's supposed to be a little bit blurred out, but it says if you think your family member has been afflicted by something or other, and it actually doesn't link to anything. There's no link, there's no phone number. So yeah, you want to be consistent there and make sure that you always have a CTA. And next video, we're going to continue looking at the negative aspects of the website design, aesthetic, and as far as user experience.